So, earlier this morning, I accidentally got Tsukishiro Yanagi. And as I was just sitting there thinking, oh yeah, cool, I got her, I guess, I decided to try her out in the, city walk, all that. And then I immediately realized, finally, they added a proper standing pose. Instead of just, letting the characters be at their usual sort of just standing there awkwardly kind of looking pose, they finally added a proper standing pose. And so far, out of the 5 characters that you can use to walk in the city, including Caesar, I just don't have her. Out of all the 5, only her and Wise have this sort of standing pose. And although you can barely call Wise's a pose, it's there though, it's there, so I'm gonna count it for now. And it's just a shame, like characters like Bernice, who's the other new one that I have, doesn't really have anything. She just also stands there. I was kind of hoping that she'd have at least the pose that she'll use whenever we meet her in like city events and all that stuff. Or she could have the stance that she had when we first met her back in Blazewood, because that's pretty cute, honestly. I like it if they can just have a bit of a different kind of stance. And this is sort of a thing that I have kind of always complained about when it comes to these sort of open world-ish gacha games, like of course Genshin, Wuthering Waves, Star Rail, because yes, while all those 3 games have pretty cool idle animations, especially Star Rail, I can never look away whenever Robin starts her idol. It's just that whenever they finish the idol, they just stand there, and it's like, it would have been better if they had at least a different stance, because especially in Genshin, who stands like that? I get my legs and my arms just feel heavy looking at them stand like that for as long as we stay AFK, And it's funny because the only other game that I've seen do this in a more consistent manner is Tower of Fantasy. And I've mentioned this in a video about Genshin features all the way some couple of months ago, where I mentioned that it would be cool if these characters have their own sort of idle standing position, because 1, the position that I have right now is completely unnatural. 2, it's a cooler sort of like purview into sort of their personality and sort of how they would carry themselves in their daily lives, just by standing like that. And it just gives you a bit more of a different feeling when you're using different characters, because no matter how it is, other than feeling the character's height difference, when they just stand there, it's just like sometimes it gets so blurry. And like I said, this is in all the other games as well. Wuthering Waves has this sort of problem for me too, and Star Rail also has that. And especially in Genshin's case, I don't get why they can't just put the idle poses that the characters have in the Serenity Pot, because those are good enough, honestly. And as long as you're able to do what Zenless does, which is, make sure that there's that slight delay between walking and then transitioning to that pose, I think they can just apply it really well. And there's also a bunch of other idle poses from different parts when, playable characters become NPCs in the other games as well. So I just don't see why they can't apply something like this, I suspect now that, where is she? Let's switch to her. I suspect now that she has an idle pose, I will assume that in 1.4 we're finally going to be able to use all the other characters in the city form. And I think with her development like this, I think everyone else would finally have their own stances. I sure hope that freaking a big ass bear doesn't stand the same way, I don't know, a little grandma would do, like it just creates a bit more character for these models, and I'm looking forward to see more of it. And the only other thing that Zenless needs now to have sort of like this perfect character UI idle kind of shit is they just need to add idle animations in city form, because I just find it so counterintuitive how the only time we get to see idle animations from all these other characters is when we are just standing still in battle, where, considering the nature of Zenless battle, we're either gonna be moving around, parrying, crapping on stuff, or we're gonna be paused because we know if we just stand around, we're gonna die. It just doesn't make sense to me how the only place they have idle animations for is in a scenario where you can't afford to be idle. I just find it really funny, and this is just a cool little feature that I immediately saw from Yanagi. Well, thankfully I got her anyways because I didn't mean to pull for her, but because I was saving for Miyabi. But now her and Miyabi will work well. Jane gets another sort of buffer, I guess, and more sub DPS damage in that team. So yeah, overall, ended up being a pretty cool discovery. Well, let's hope that Hoyoverse will be able to keep this up going into the future. That's all. See you guys.